Student Services and Dean of Students at GMercyU University. And it's my pleasure to welcome all of you to the GMercyU family. I hope that your students have been participating in the new student orientation programs that began online today, and that all of you had the chance to tune into our fantastic academic convocation ceremony that just ended a few minutes ago. The purpose of our time together is to introduce you to some key people who are dedicated to your student success and to get any lingering questions you may have answered. So we want you to know how much we value and appreciate the trust you are putting in us to educate, develop, challenge, and support your students, especially during these times which are a little bit uncertain and certainly unprecedented. It's our goal to ensure that your students are having the absolute best academic and co-curricular experience they can during their time here at GMercyU. Now, research tells us that the more students are connected and engaged with each other, with their faculty and staff, with the university environment, the more successful they're going to be. So forming those connections is really an integral part and the purpose of this new student orientation program that began today. So even if it's being conducted remotely, it's so important. So please encourage your students to participate fully in all the orientation activities. And for those of you who have students at home who are logging in, please do your best not to hover when they're logged in. I promise you there's nothing more embarrassing for a student than to have their parents Zoom bomb one of their meetings. I have personal experience with this with my two teenagers, and I promise you it was not pretty. So again, we're so thankful that you and your students have chosen to become members of the Gwynedd Mercy University family, and we look forward to partnering with all of you in their success. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to have all of the colleagues gathered here, the rock star panel of colleagues, introduce themselves to you and tell you a little bit about the area they represent and the services they will provide your students. And after their presentations, we will open it up to questions. As Danielle said earlier, please feel free to use the chat function to post your questions, and we will try to answer all of your questions. If for some reason we're not able to get to your question, you can simply also give us your email address in the chat, and we'll be sure to email you the answers to your questions. We are also recording this session and it will be posted on our website so that you can have reference to this presentation. So with that, I will turn it back over to Danielle and we can continue with the presentation.
Great. So, Josh, would you like me to go over the agenda or would you like to go over it?
Well, I mean, as you can all see, I just welcomed you. So hi again. And now we're just going to dive into our campus resources. So just real quick, I introduced myself already. As you can see, I have oversight for a good number of co-curricular areas outside of the academic environment. But I always say that my primary role is to be a student advocate and to provide support to your students. And even though we have some virtual hours, I will be on campus 2 days a week. I'm always available by appointment in person or even after hours if there's something urgent. I will always respond to emails and phone calls, so don't hesitate to reach out or have your students reach out. And like I said, I look forward to meeting your students both remotely and in person and hopefully connecting with some of you. So on to the next.
Great. Thank you, Josh.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Meredith Hochosher. I'm the Dean of Student Success, and I oversee several departments within our Academic Resource Center. We have lots of great support for students, and I strongly encourage students to come and visit us virtually this fall for any of the following services. First and foremost, most students take advantage of our tutoring or academic coaching services. Tutoring is conducted primarily by peer tutors. These are students who were successful in the courses that they are tutoring. They've been recommended by faculty, they've been interviewed and trained. They help with course-specific information. So if you have an accounting class and you need help with your debits and credits, or a nursing class and you need help with anatomy and physiology. We also offer academic coaching though, which helps with more general learning skills. So a lot of times students are saying, you know, I'm studying how I did before and I did really well in high school, but for some reason I'm not retaining the information the same way or as easily now. And that's because it sometimes can be very different to study for the university course versus your high school course. So academic coaches can help with study strategies, time management, or just any general, exploration of your learning styles or anything like that. We have professional academic advisors who help any students who are in transition. We have a large group of students who aren't yet in a major, and the professional academic advisors help them explore the different majors that we offer at this university, as well as students who are in a major but considering changing their major. And it happens. They get into, I always like to say, they get into nursing and realize they don't like blood, or they don't like needles, or they don't want to be in a hospital, but they still want to advocate for patients in some way. So the professional advisors can help students explore those options. We also house accessibility services. So any student who had an IEP or 504 in high school may be interested and hopefully would be willing to speak with our Director of Accessibility Services to review any accommodation needs they may have. Many students who have accommodations get testing accommodations, which entitles them to different things, but most common is extended test time or reduced distraction. We offer testing accommodations through the Academic Resource Center once a student is registered with accessibility services. This is the only service this fall that can be provided on campus, and that is the testing accommodations. If you have any questions about accessibility, you can email arc@gmercyu.edu or Brandy Crawford, the director, at Crawford, CRAWFORD at GMercyU.edu. And finally, we oversee the First Year Experience Program. Many of your students are registered for FYE 1000. This course is designed to really support a student in the transition to university experience. This course covers academic skills, stresses in learning and understanding of our Mercy heritage, and integrates social and co-curricular experiences as well, so that all students are getting a full holistic experience of going to Mercy University. And in the spring, the second course they will take is a service learning course that focuses on one of the critical concerns of the Sisters of Mercy, which they're going to be learning a lot about this fall. If you have any questions for me, please put them in the chat, or you can certainly email me directly, and I will be happy to respond to you. I would suggest that you email Danielle Davis to get in touch with me first, because my email is extremely long and I realize I don't have the contact on this slide. Any other general questions, please email arc@gmercyu.edu.
Great, thank you so much, Meredith. So now we're going to hear from Keith.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Keith Mondillo. I'm the Director of Athletics at GMercyU University, and welcome. A little overview of the athletic department. We're members of NCAA Division III and also a member of the Atlantic East Conference. We sponsor 19 varsity sports. We have a robust intramural program that might look a little different this year, but our intramural program is very popular on campus. As you probably heard or seen on the news, the NCAA has canceled fall championships, which our conference and our presidents have made a decision to postpone the fall season until spring, as long as things change with COVID. We're still waiting on a decision for winter and spring, but that'll come very soon. We're in the process, as Josh mentioned, of engaging our students not only in the classroom, but in extracurricular activities. And that's no different this year. We're not going to be practicing regularly as we normally do we're going to be practicing over the university's resocialization and return to play policy that we've developed through the NCAA Sports Science Institute. So if you have your student is a student athlete, we have taken all the precautions, and then our Donna Ferguson will probably speak a little bit more of that later, but our head athletic trainers, along with everyone on campus, we have taken the necessary precautions for us to move forward with some form of practicing this year. It is our goal, as I said, to keep our students engaged, whether that is in intercollegiate athletics or intramurals. My contact information is on the slide. I do suggest that I should have put up our athletics website, which is gwennettathletics.com. You can find it on our university's homepage. Just click on athletics and it'll take you right to the university's homepage. If you have any questions in the chat or later on, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Now we're going to hear from our counseling services.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Pamela Zarenka Moore, and I am the Director of the Counseling Services Office on campus. On my slide here, you will see some general information regarding hours of operation, as well as our counseling at GMercyU email address, which really is the best way to reach out to us at this point. So just to go over a few things quickly is we're asking at this point that there are no walk-ins for appointments because of everything going on. But I do want to mention that we are doing sessions normally. However, they will be all virtual at this point. So we are still taking appointments, and we will also, important for you all to know, is have a staff member present on campus every day of the week. And the main reason for this is that if there is any emergency that pops up on campus, we want to be able to address that situation. And if it needs to be in person, obviously we will follow all social distancing guidelines and all of that. So as I said before, we will be doing virtual sessions. If your student has a special circumstance where they cannot meet virtually, they have a disability that does not allow them to meet with us via Zoom, they just have to contact us and we can talk with them about other options. And we do have the ability, if needed in those special circumstances, to meet in person in a socially distanced way in our offices. So on-campus emergencies, just as a kind of a protocol thing here, emergencies in terms of mental health should be reported to public safety. And then I always have a counselor in our office that is on call. And so that is during the day as well as in the evening for residential students. So if anything comes up, report to public safety. They have our phone numbers and can contact the person that's on call on that particular day. Let's see here. So also this year, we're going to do some virtual walk-in times. And so we're working out the logistics of that, but your student can look for a link to be sent out to attend that virtual walk-in if they aren't sure if they want an appointment, and they can kind of talk with us a little bit about that. Otherwise, we're going to be using a lot of our social media to promote events as well as to give psychoeducation. We're going to be doing activities for students, whether it's related to learning about a mental health issue or learning about drugs and alcohol. We're going to be doing that virtually. So your students will get links to that as well. So just look for those on the portal and through email. And then we are going to also transition our waiting room to be a telemental health space. So if your student needs a confidential space to do their session and they don't want to either be in their room or in their car if they're commuting, then we just have to know that they need that space and we can make it available and confidential for them. So the last thing I just wanted to mention is telemental health laws are really ever changing at this point in time with the pandemic. When the pandemic first started, a lot of states kind of put out orders of we could practice across state lines and there was no real application process or anything like that. The important thing to know is that a lot of that stuff is expiring at this point. So right now we were meeting with students who are in PA at the time of their session. if your student is not going to be in PA, just have them reach out to us. We're going to be consistently kind of going through the laws, seeing what we can do, so that we can serve the students as best as we can. So if you have any questions about anything I went over, I'm happy to answer that in the chat box, or you can email us, like I said before, at counseling@gmercyu.edu. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we'll hear from our Health and Wellness Center.
Hi, everyone. My name is Donna Ferguson. I'm the director of the Health and Wellness Center at GMercyU University. We will be seeing telemedicine and in-person visits. We are open, as you can see on the slide, Monday till 6 from 8:30 to 6, and then Tuesday to Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. We might have more staffing to cover a few more hours, so we're working on that. We have doctors in the office Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. Ourselves and the doctors are free to see us. We have over-the-counter medications. If anything, if your insurance is needed, it would be for outside services, but that would be ordered by our doctor. We are asking that students reach out at the email address below or my extension, not to come directly to the health center. We want to assess them before they come into our center so we could see how to best serve them. We do have accommodations should we need any isolation or quarantine rooms. Students, if they don't feel good, are certainly welcome to go home. But we do have accommodations if they are needed. And if you have any questions at all, my email address is right there. Our extension is right there. Please do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we'll hear from our international programs.
We will go to the next person, Danielle.
Hi, everybody. My name is Joanna Gallagher. I'm the Director of Public Safety here at Gwinnett Mercy University. I'm going to talk a little bit about our department. We're located in the St. Bridget Hall Triplex, which will have an officer stationed 24/7, as well as our residence halls. For Alex Hall, we'll have an officer there for 24/7. We operate every 7 days a week, every shift. And we are a non-sworn department, but we work very closely with the Lower Gwinnett Police Department. In addition, the Wissahickon Fire Department helps with our fire drills, which we will be conducting the first couple weeks of school. And the department's information for our phone number is 215-641-5522 as on the screen, and from any campus phone 211111. We do have three supervisors on day, afternoon, and night shift, and we will have 2 shuttle drivers. Our shuttle will have limited capacity because of COVID-19, and we will only be going to the train. We will not be transporting on campus. In addition, the officers will help with escorts, walking escorts if needed. And we are also the department that's dealing with the pandemic for enforcement. When students come onto campus, you're going to notice that there's a new officer location guard booth, and they will be taking temperatures, and everyone will need to do a screening survey. And we will also have one way out. You will also notice that there's a lot of signage throughout campus for COVID-19 that talks about social distancing, masking inside buildings and outside of buildings, and different processes that have been put in place. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out to the Department of Public Safety. That's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. We're going to hear from the registrar's office now.
Thank you, Danielle. Good afternoon. My name is Joanna Rowdenbush, and I'm the registrar at Gwinnett Mercy University. I manage the registrar's office, which is located in Campbell Hall. Our office maintains the course schedule, final exam schedule, students' transcripts, grades, and transfer credit. In addition, we manage registration, which includes dropping courses. This happens during the first week of the semester. Dropping a course ensures that the class does not appear on your student's transcript. We also handle withdrawing from courses, which happens after the drop add period is over and goes until the 11th week of the semester. When your student withdraws from a course, that course remains on the student's transcript with a W grade. Now, this grade does not affect the student's GPA, but it could affect their financial aid. The registrar's office also supervises adherence to the academic policies, including FERPA, which is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. This regulation provides your student with the right to view their academic records and requires the university to protect your student's privacy. It's important for you to know that these rights transfer from the parent to the student as soon as they begin attending a post-secondary institution. You'll find more information regarding FERPA and other services in the registrar's website, which is located here on this slide. We will be having some in-person days. We do ask that your students make an appointment with us. Our contact information is listed on the registrar's website, or you can give a phone call to the phone number listed here. Thanks very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brian Dunphy-Culp, Director of Housing and Residence Life, and I hope everyone's having a great Thursday so far. Can't believe that classes begin in a couple of days. So obviously you can see on this screen right there a lot of our contact information for the office. And despite what's going on with COVID, I want to make sure everyone understands that we are going to be here and be around for our students who are living on campus. Our main office hours are 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. We have offices both in Loyola Hall and Alexandria Hall. And we will have a mix of people being in the office and also out of the office or working remotely because of everything going on. And that's going to change week to week, depending on meetings and what might be happening in our own lives or being at home. You know, like myself, I have 2 kids at home, are going to be remote as well. So the best way to get in touch with any of us is through email. And so you have the email addresses there. We also have our main phone number and main email as well. So if a student needs to meet with any of us, obviously we ask them to email us to make an appointment, and then we'll work with that student, whether that will be in person or over Zoom, depending on what the meeting's about and what makes sense and what everyone is comfortable with. I also want to make sure everyone understands that, you know, our goal is always to make sure we're pushing forward the social, academic, and personal development of our residents. And even though there will be some restrictions this semester because of COVID, that is still our overall mission and goal that we have. And then also for any of our staff members, they're going to post their office hours each week on their front door. So residents who are stopping by, or if they forget to email us, they'll have that information as well. We're also always on call, you know, after hours. We have our RAs, our resident assistants, who are student leaders, who are there to assist and help our residents with whatever they need as well. And then Danielle, I have another slide.
Brian, while you're changing your next slide, there's a question in the chat for you.
Sure.
About are parents allowed on campus Sunday when they're dropping their students off prior to classes?
What a great segue, because look at my slide. So, ta-da, it's amazing what we do. So on to this past Tuesday, we did send an email to all the residents who've already, well, any resident, but residents who have dropped things off over the past week, and gave them information on how that's going to work this coming Sunday. So we are trying to stagger it a little bit by building. And so the number one thing is that if students and families still have things to bring into their room, then that is fine, but we are limiting it to just bringing one person inside if a student needs that assistance. And then we are kind of shortening that time to only about 30 minutes, because during the semester, we're not allowing any guests into the residence halls, which includes parents or family members. We're only allowing other residents to visit other residents. And that really does start on Sunday. But again, we understand that people forget things, or they set up their room and they realize they need some more stuff. So we're trying to be a little flexible with that on Sunday. So we did send the email both to the students or the residents' GMercy email address, and especially for our new students, our first years and transfers, we also sent it to their personal email address that we had on file in our database. So they should be able to view that, because we did send that on Tuesday early evening. So that is happening. And then the first meal starts on Sunday, dinner at 4. Every bedroom door is going to have a door hanger that Parkhurst put out about dining hours for the semester and how everything works as well. And then, of course, here for any questions.
There's a question about no guests on campus.
Yeah, I see
may have
Josh
already
answered it. Yeah, so again, we consider a guest to be anyone who's not a resident. So yeah, so that's in terms of coming into the residence halls.
Hello, everyone. Hi, this is Rosalind Emmanuel Fresnel, and I am the Director of Student Activities and Leadership Programs. Despite COVID, our office goal continued to be to provide students with resources for them to discover and enhance their leadership skills through involvement in clubs and organizations, programs, and activities. So whether they are studying remote, whether they first year transfer or resident, or so commuters, all office offer numerous opportunities for them to get involved. Our programs, of course, is looking different this year because one of it, the social distance, and no guests on campus, but we will continue to have programming over nights and weekends, and it will be virtual programming. We have a discount ticket program where we'll still be able to sell tickets to students to go to local attractions. Of course, we are not able to take them there, but if they are interested in driving, we give them discount tickets for like $10, where they could even go to the zoo or to the museum on their own. Our clubs and organizations are continue to operate. We will continue to have leadership, well, part of our office is leadership programs, and it's called the Griffin Student Leadership Institute. And that program specifically has a tier for new students that are coming in, freshman students. We're still going to try to have virtual workshops and virtual sessions for them to be able to participate. And it is even more important now that the students get involved with our office, as they are not going to be on campus as much. And we always tell, or our favorite line to tell our students is getting involved is a perfect way for them to obtain practical skills, like real world skills while they meeting friends. And so even though we are not on campus, we are still going to encourage them to try to connect with our office, connect with our clubs and organizations, so they are able to meet some of their peers virtually. One of the other programs that we oversee is orientations, which is going on, of course, right now. And so we encourage you to continue to encourage your students to take part of them, of all the sessions over the next 3 days. We also have a virtual student activities fair that is coming up on the 3rd. And at the fair, they'll have an opportunity to meet with some of our clubs and organizations and to learn about how to get involved on campus. A lot of our information will be displayed on this site we call Griffin Engage. It's new to our office. It's a one-stop shop where they can basically find events, get involved on campus, and get a head start on building up their resumes. Our office, we will still be on campus. There'll be like a staff member on campus every day. We do ask for the students to email us for appointment, but we will be there from 9 to 5, Monday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, and on Tuesdays from 10 to 6. We also implemented a virtual office hours where we are hoping that the students will utilize that they could find ways to contact us, but also we'll find ways to engage them in bringing like weekly topics. Once again, the way for them to really contact us is via email. They could also just reach out any of the professional staff for individual meetings, but let them follow us on Instagram so they can find out about the events that we do have on campus. That's it.
Great, thank you so much. All right, so Title IX, I'm going to turn it over.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Gwinnett Mercy. My name is Bob Wood, and I'm the Title IX coordinator, as you can see there on the slide. My email address is wood.r@gmercyu.edu. I have a deputy Title IX coordinator, Ms. Casey Hilferty, to the right of the screen. Her email is also there, Hilferty. Whoops, and I should put .c, my typo, my fault. It's hilferty.c@gmercyu.edu. Title IX is all about the safety and well-being of the students, faculty, and staff on campus. Our Title IX policy is listed on the main webpage site under policies. If you go in there, you can click on it, and there's lots of different information there. Part of my function is to provide training for the campus community. Title IX is a codified law, 34 Code of Federal Regulations, Part 106, and 20 United States Code, Section 1681 through 1687. It is to make sure that your students are safe and their well-being is cared for, and nothing interferes with their ability to attain an education through Gwinnett Mercy. If there is an inquiry into a sexual harassment or sexual assault, my job is to ensure that there's equity to all parties involved. We follow the policy and procedural guidelines, and we also act as a resource for students. Many times students just need to talk. They're looking for guidance. They do not wish to file a complaint, and my door is always open for that. And I work hand in hand with everybody that has come up on this page so far, especially guidance and the health and residential life. The Office of the Coordinator is an impartial fact finder. As I said, I oversee the process. Another function of my job is to apprise the administration of all Title IX concerns, liaison with local community agencies. Many of our students are commuters, and of course with COVID, we're in this hybrid scenario. We have connections with lots of community advocacy agencies that work with us, and they're all also listed in our policy. Parental communication, as you were told under FERPA, is limited to the wishes of the individual student. Very quickly, if a student wants an advisor, they're entitled to an advisor. The advisor is their choice. Anybody they wish. Leave that door open. Again, my function is to maintain equity and safety in the academic area, in the athletic area, and throughout the university experience. So welcome to the Gwinnett Mercy family. My name is Bob. Feel free to contact me anytime. Take care.
Thank you. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Josh for the question and answer session.
Okay, we have about 10 minutes left. So certainly don't feel shy about typing in a question to the chat box. If you feel uncomfortable putting in a question to everyone, I've seen a couple questions have come to me privately, so I'll try to answer those before we end the meeting. I'll type those to you privately. But I also did want to mention, you saw that there was an international program slide. Our director for international programs couldn't join us today. So I do want to let you know that when we are not dealing with a pandemic, we have opportunities for students to study abroad. And we have students that not only study in other countries, either short-term or for an entire semester, but we also have domestic travel available for service trips. And again, right now, all university travel is on hold due to COVID, but we hope to be able to resume that when we come out on the other end. I also wanted to mention that we have our Office of Career Development, who will be very closely involved with your students. It is never too early for your students to start thinking about their future. Also to start thinking about internships and how to build up their resume. So Nick and Casey, our director and associate director, always stop in either remotely or in person to the first year seminar classes, and also will work with new transfer students to do resume review. They will also do mock interviews, and they're a really fantastic resource for students. They also provide services to alumni. So they are a fantastic resource, and they couldn't be on the call today, but I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned career development. And again, all of the information about all of the offices that provide services to students will be available in one place on our the COVID-19 section of our website. We're just going to have a huge chart that will let you know who's in person when, who's remote when, how to get in touch with each office, how to make appointments, so forth and so on. So other than private questions to me, which I will answer privately, there was a question about the next family session. The next family session is not a repeat of this session. This is a session that is specific for those of you who would like to meet with our counseling services team to talk about the transition into the university environment, especially in light of our current pandemic situation. So it's a really good opportunity to meet with our counseling services team and talk about this transition to college life while we are being remote. Pam, I don't know if you want to give another commercial as well.
Sure, that pretty much covered it, Josh. We're going to talk about stressors of the academic year, what to kind of look for in terms of warning signs with your student, as well as just talk about the transition in general and how to kind of cope with that and the things that come up with that.
Great. All right, let me see if there's other questions here. All right, Meredith, there's a question.
Yes, I just responded to that participant directly.
Okay.
However, I didn't mean to. I meant to send to everyone. We will have tutoring for all subjects, math, history. And if we don't have a peer tutor on staff, we do have another service that provides almost 24/7 online tutoring as well.
Great, thank you. There is a question. I'm concerned about students feeling isolated as well as it being the first time away from home, but it is a concern. Again, it's a valid concern even when we are not having students in single rooms due to COVID. But we have our professional staff and our resident assistant staff who are trained and ready to make sure that students are being engaged and connected, and that they are not being physically or even emotionally isolated. So please also know that we understand that you know your student a lot better than we do. So if your gut is telling you that you think there's an issue, feel free to reach out and let us know, and we'd be happy to talk with your student. But Brian, if you'd like to talk more about that, feel free.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just chatting with a parent about some of our concerns, and I share those concerns. How do we navigate with students being in? What's ironic is a lot of our students would prefer to have a room by themselves, but now that we're in with COVID, we have this additional challenge. What I was mentioning to this parent is that our RAs are great. The RAs, our resident assistants, our student leaders. They've been in training for the past 2 weeks, and we've been talking a lot about what it means to build community and what it means to keep our students engaged, given that they're going to be in a room by themselves, and how do we kind of bring them out of their room. And we are coming up with different ideas. Certainly we're going to have some things that are virtual, but we've also talked about how can we be creative and have engagement that is in person, given and adhering to our distancing guidelines. So our RAs are always super creative, even when we don't have these in place. And so I've implored them and challenged them to come up with those. And we certainly as a staff will be talking about that daily, about how things are going on or what is going on. And the other thing that I think is really, really super important is that if your student is feeling isolated or something like that, and they're not having any sort of good engagement, we need to know. So we can work with them and talk with them. We always want our residents and any of our students to own their experience. And so them being able to reach out to us to talk to us about their ideas, or can they do this? Can we do this? What about that? That's really important. So the communication we get from students and families of what's happening is important to us and key. And that's where we mentioned, I mean, all of us kind of are mentioning, like, here's how you can reach us. Here's how we can be here and assist your student and yourself as you're talking with your student about what services we can provide to them and making sure they're having the best experience as possible.
If I could ask Donna, our Director of Health and Wellness. Donna, we have a couple questions about whether or not there will be COVID testing being done on campus. And also, if you could talk a little bit about our contact tracing procedures, because someone had a question about how are we tracking students and staff who might have COVID, and will that information be made available to parents?
Okay, so first, at this moment, we will have some testing, very limited to symptomatic students. That could change at any time, as we know with COVID. For tracing and tracking, we have class lists. When you come on campus, as Joanna mentioned earlier, you sign in for buildings, the residence hall, we know who's where. So if a positive case was made known, we would go right to that classroom, find out who was in the class, what kind of contact, if they live in the residence hall, who do they live by, who have they had contact with. I spoke for about an hour today with the Office of Public Health, Montgomery County. We will gather all that information. We will reach out to them. They will do further contact tracing. Will the parents know? The campus community will know through public safety that we have a positive case. Doesn't mean we're closing campus. We will not release any personal information. We would not even say if they're a resident, commuter. All you would need to know is there was a positive case, steps are being taken, and whoever's involved would be notified. The students would be notified. So it would be up to the student to let the parent know.
Yeah, as Joanna, our registrar, alluded to, you know, we by law are required to protect students' privacy. So that not only applies to academic records through FERPA, but also medical records through HIPAA. So we do, again, we don't want to get in the middle of you and your students, but we will use students as our first point of contact because we do consider them to be adults. So we do ask them that they keep you informed. And there are times when you know, you're going to want to know some information that we'll either need to get your student permission to tell you or ask your student to communicate with you directly. I see that there are other comments from parents to me privately about the concerns about isolation. I strongly suggest that those of you who have concerns about student isolation, mental health, tune in to the next session, because that's specifically going to be discussed with our counseling services staff. It's a very legitimate concern. I know that people are concerned about the amount of remote engagement. And our feeling is that this is the safest way to conduct our academic and co-curricular programs and trying to keep everyone as protected as possible. It's certainly not ideal. We recognize that. But we want to try to give students who, at some semblance of a recognizable college experience, and we want to also keep everyone safe. But the isolation is definitely a concern, whether they're a resident or staying at home. So please feel free to talk in the next session with our counseling services staff, and they'd also be happy to talk to you one-on-one outside of this session. All right, let me take one last one. So if a parent or family member has a power of attorney or anything like that to obtain medical information, do we need a copy of that? The short answer is yes. So if you want access to your students' medical records, you can let Donna have that form. If you, your students also can sign a release of information, and that can be handled through the Campbell Solutions Center and the registrar's office. So again, we don't want to keep secrets from you, but we want your students to also understand and that they have their privacy as well. So let me just say, because I need to let you get to the next session, that again, this is an unprecedented and uncomfortable time. And we just really appreciate that you are willing to trust us to educate your students and to support your students, and to also support all of you family members. We understand those of us that are parents who have kids at home or might be going through the college search process, or who have other kids in college. It's a pretty crazy time. So we're going to do our best to take care of your students, to take care of each other. That's our Mercy mission. It's part of who we are. And again, this is temporary. We will get through this together as a family. And our hope is that we can celebrate all of your students' achievements in person very, very soon. So thank you all for your attention. Feel free, again, this will be posted. If you want to email me or call me directly if you have further questions, do not hesitate to do so. My information is on the website, and I appreciate all of your attention and look forward to meeting you at some point in person. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you so much, Josh. And thank you to all of